When you send your best friend to have a child with your husband in an attempt to save your marriage, remember, during the act of creating life, feelings can easily be born too. Bhadman's wife convinced her best friend to bear a child for her husband in hopes of saving her marriage, but he isn't willing to accept the arrangement. They had been married for 3 years without a child, and after seeing a doctor, she was diagnosed with a womb infection that greatly reduced her chances of conceiving. Rather than adopting a child, she begged her best friend to have a baby for her husband, believing it would stop him from marrying a second wife since the child would be his own blood. When love becomes desperate for survival, the line between sacrifice and self-destruction begins to fade. Bhadman had repeatedly explained to his wife that sleeping with her best friend wasn't a solution to their problem, as he saw it as an act of cheating and refused to be intimate with another woman. The wife's best friend tried to reason with Bhadman, telling him not to view it as betrayal, but as a solution that could bring joy and end the pain of childlessness in his marriage. Sometimes, the heart knows when a solution is only a disguise for temptation. Believing they had said enough to convince Bhadman, and sensing that her presence might be the obstacle, his wife offered to step out of the room to give them privacy to proceed with the plan. She tells her husband that this doesn't count as infidelity, then pleads with her friend to be gentle with him before leaving the room. Some things are not meant to be shared, because a single taste can awaken a hunger that never fades. A few minutes after their agreed affair outside Bhadman's marriage, his wife's best friend calmly gets dressed in a romantic manner while Bhadman watches her from behind. In his mind, Bhadman drifts into deep thought about what just happened. He had strongly opposed the idea at first, yet now he finds himself drowning in desire, replaying the pleasure of the moment he just shared with her. Temptation often disguises itself as a good intention, only to reveal its true face when it's too late to turn back. His wife's best friend also finds herself caught in the wave of desire between them. What began as a favor to her friend turned into an experience far more thrilling and tempting than she ever imagined. Good intentions can crumble the moment emotions taste what they were meant to resist. She picks up her bag, her gaze fixed on Bhadman, and without a single word, walks out of the room, leaving him lying on the bed, lost in the warmth of tempting memories. Sometimes, silence speaks louder than words, leaving the mind to wander where the heart dares not follow. 2 weeks later, the lady is on her phone when a knock sounds at her door. Realizing it's Bhadman's wife, she lets her in, though it's clear she's not pleased to receive her. She composes herself into a serious mood as Bhadman's wife sits beside her, promptly asking whether she has taken a pregnancy test and what the outcome is. Ever since she entrusted her friend to her husband, she has been patiently waiting for news of a pregnancy. Not having heard anything, she decides to visit and get an update herself. With a heavy heart, her friend tells her that she didn't get pregnant that night and isn't willing to try again, prompting her to immediately beg her not to give up so easily. In her friend's words, she describes Bhadman as a man unwilling to fulfill the task properly, and she isn't willing to endure such frustration again. Seeing no other choice, Bhadman's wife earnestly pleads with her friend to try one more time with her husband, promising to stay away and ensure a comfortable setting for them. Sometimes, desperation pushes us to ask the impossible, hoping that one more attempt can rewrite our fate. The lady agrees to make one final attempt with Bhadman, informing her friend that no matter what happens, this will be the last time. With her goal accomplished, she stands to leave, and in her absence, her friend bursts into joy at the thought that she will soon be in Bhadman's arms once again. Unknowingly, Bhadman's wife has reopened the door for her friend to savor the temptation she was never meant to touch again. That same day, Bhadman sits on his couch, his mind drifting back to the pleasurable experience he shared with his wife's best friend. Ever since the encounter, he finds himself craving more of her, yet he hesitates to ask, burdened by guilt over having such thoughts. The door opens and his wife walks in, greeting him with a hug before settling down to sit beside him. She has just returned from visiting her best friend and is about to tell her husband the outcome. She sits beside him, her face shadowed with disappointment and her mind weighed down by the news she's about to share. In a quiet voice, she informs her husband that she has just come back from her best friend's home, where she went to check on the results of their encounter, only to be disheartened to find that her friend didn't conceive that night. Sometimes, even the most carefully laid plans can end in disappointment, reminding us that not everything is within our control. Bhadman, without showing disappointment, tells his wife he never truly believed in that solution and proposes that they leave it in God's hands to bless them with a child. True faith is trusting that some blessings come in their own time, not through our own schemes. His wife tells him that after hearing the news, she pleaded with her friend for a second attempt, and her friend agreed, so he would need to try one more time. Seeing this as an opportunity to return to the arms of the woman he has lustfully desired, and realizing that agreeing to easily might reveal how much he enjoyed the encounter, he immediately refuses to go through with the second attempt. Unhappy with his response, his wife angrily tells him he has no choice but to go along with the plan, pointing out how long it took her to convince her friend and that she wouldn't want it to go to waste. She then slowly rises and, in an attempt to show her husband how much she needs his help, gives him a peck before leaving. Most of the time, people pretend they don't want what they desire most, especially in the presence of someone they feel would be betrayed if they gave in. With his wife gone, a smile spreads across Bhadman's face as he envisions the thrill of a second encounter with his wife's friend. What began as a simple act to help conceive a child has blossomed into an intense surge of emotion and romance between Bhadman and his wife's friend. In his wife's absence, they surrendered to their longing, making love with an intensity that showed how deeply they had missed one another. After their passionate encounter, Bhadman and his wife's friend lie together on the bed, wrapped in each other's arms, exchanging praises and confessing how secretly they had prayed for this reunion. Without realizing it, their passionate affair has turned into love, a truth that neither of them is ready to acknowledge. Sometimes, love grows quietly in the shadows, waiting for courage to bring it into the light. The lady informs Bhadman that she needs to make a confession and requests that he sit up, stressing the seriousness of what she's about to say. She then calmly tells Bhadman that after their last encounter, she became pregnant with his child, but had to lie to his wife to create another chance to be with him. She also confides in Bhadman that no man has ever satisfied her in bed the way he does, which has made her fall in love with him, and she wishes to bear his child as his wife, not merely as a means to save his marriage. Confused and at a loss for words from the lady's revelation, Bhadman goes on to express his own feelings for her and praises her for keeping the pregnancy a secret from his wife, which opened another door to their romance. He then reminds her that, as a Christian, he cannot have more than one wife, and would never want to mistreat his wife because she cannot conceive for him. He suggests that they keep the pregnancy a secret from his wife and persuade her for more attempts, so they can be together and satisfy their desires. Some secrets are kept not to deceive, but to preserve the moments that make the heart feel alive. The lady tells Bhadman that, given his wife's inability to conceive, he should divorce her, insisting that anyone in his situation would do the same. Desire has a way of reshaping our sense of right and wrong, making impossible choices feel necessary. Without much hesitation, and swept up by the pleasure of their romance, Bhadman agrees to divorce his wife and marry the lady so they can start a family, as she already carries his child. The next day, Bhadman has already moved his wife's friend into his house, and the two of them sit on the couch, pretending to listen to the baby in her womb. His wife enters and is shocked to find her best friend perched on her husband's lap. The two of them entwined in playful, intimate gestures, like a couple in love. She walks slowly toward them, demanding to know what's happening, but they ignore her. Calmly, Bhadman tells his wife's friend on his lap to sit on the couch for a while. She stands and takes a seat on the couch, both of them pretending not to notice Bhadman's wife as she seethes with anger. Bhadman then stands and approaches his wife, casually telling her that he has decided to end their marriage and take her friend as his new wife, since she is already carrying his child. When desire outweighs loyalty, even the strongest bonds can be broken in a single moment. Realizing that the friend she trusted to save her marriage has become the cause of its end, Bhadman's wife lashes out, accusing her of betrayal, but the lady shows no remorse. In the harshest way, Bhadman's wife comes to realize that her desperate attempt to have a child set her marriage on the path to its downfall. Sometimes, the very efforts we make to save something can unknowingly plant the seeds of its destruction. With no intention of reconsidering his decision to marry his wife's best friend, Bhadman drops his wife's bag for her and tells her to leave his house. This is a lesson to everyone. Acting out of fear or urgency, like trying to save a marriage at all costs, can lead to unintended consequences. Entrusting someone with a delicate matter can backfire if boundaries aren't respected. Sometimes waiting and trusting the natural course of events is wiser than forcing solutions. Trying to force results too quickly can ruin relationships that patience might have preserved. Please share this video and comment where you are watching from.